What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Nehemiah, aka Neil, and today we're going to be talking about the Chicago Bulls. Now, they were a really good team earlier last year, and they did have a lot of early season success. They were the one seed for a really good time, and they did have a lot of upside going towards them. However, there was a bunch of things that didn't really pan out the way that we thought they would, which caused them to not really have the best season last year. However, let's just talk about it in a regular manner. So first off, let's talk about Kobe White. Kobe White did have probably his best season last year, and even though he wasn't the most volume heavy, he did have very efficient shots, especially with the 3 pointer. Definitely his best for a while, and I think that it's really good for him to have just a better spot on the roster that he did previously. So I think that's really good. And then we have Vus, uh, Big Vooch. I'm not really sure how good he's going to be on this roster going forward, especially with him not being as efficient from three. Last year he shot 38%. You're in Orlando he shot 40%. Now he's shooting like 32%. It's not looking good for him. I think that for him to be the best that they can be, they probably need him to, just uptake that. I think that if he's really better from that, he could probably just be really good. And even though he wasn't the most efficient this year, especially after the first couple of games, it really just skyrocketed. But again, I think that Vus really needs to be a little bit better on the offensive end. But again, we're gonna talk about it. I think the Chicago Bulls' biggest weakness is gonna be their defense next year, and they were the 22nd ranked defense, but before everyone went down, especially Lonzo and Caruso, they were like the 27th rated defense, or not the 27th. They were like the seventh rated defense, and I think that that's gonna be the same with this team. Now let's go to Lonzo Ball. Lonzo has still needed to actually make the playoffs. He still hasn't made the playoffs yet, which is kind of insane. Um, Looking at Lonzo's, he's really efficient. He's has a 57 efficient field goal percentage, which could even rival Giannis at points. He shoots 42% from three. He shoots 42% from the field around that. And even though he wasn't, the main ball handler, he was still racking up 5 assists. Very impressive for a guy like him. I don't think that he's gonna have the all-star potential that we thought he did, but I still think that his role on a team like this is still really invaluable. And again, as seen with last year, after he went down, the defense just tanked. So I think that he's still really valuable for this team. And I think that they did really get a bargain on his contract with 20 million. And speaking of bargain of contracts, Alex Caruso, the guy that only gets paid $9 million. That's crazy, bro. Like I would pay him 50 million on the spot. I think he's probably one of the better six men of this year, and I think that he's definitely just underrated as a whole. But let's get into it. So Caruso, he didn't really play the best in the Chicago series versus Milwaukee. He did play really good defense on Giannis, I guess, but outside of that, he didn't really do much. I think that if I were to grade him over last year, though, it's definitely an A plus. He was probably one of my six man of the year candidates, especially with his really good defense. And again, after the Grayson Allen injury, the defense tanked after he went out, and I think that that's really concerning. But again, I think that they will finish better than they did last year, only because they are probably a better regular season team when all their guys are healthy. They did struggle with health and COVID last year, so we need to keep that in mind. One thing they did was they weren't the best shooting team, and that was just throughout the whole season. Even with a guy like Zach Levine, a guy like Lonzo Ball, they just weren't the best shooting team. With a guy like DeMar DeRozan, for example, a guy like let me just check the roster. Tony Bradley, Jordan Bell, like some of these guys just don't shoot, and that's really concerning. They were the 29th ranked in 3 pointers attempted. Or no, they're the 30th ranked. They only attempted 28 or 29 per game, and it was really concerning to see that this team just doesn't shoot well. And it's not like they don't shoot well in a percentage sense. They shoot 20 or 37%, which is fourth in the NBA. That's really great. They just don't have the volume shooters though. Looking at their volume shooters, it's uh, Lonzo Ball, Zach Levine, Kobe White. They all are really good shooters, but after that, it just falls off. The next best shooter is Ayo Dosunmu, who I personally think is going to be really good next year. I really liked what I saw from him, especially in the first half of the season when everyone was healthy. A very active defender, a very active player overall. Just essentially finds his best fit around the court depending on who's there. And his game is just very versatile, especially for a role player. I think that going forward, they should probably prioritize him as one of their better players. Definitely, definitely. And again, they just don't have the really best shooting out there. And I think that that's going to be a really big problem going forward, especially if a guy like Patrick Williams isn't the best. And I think that that's just going to be really concerning. However, looking at this team though, I still think that they do have a little bit going forward with them. They do have a little bit. They do have a lot of good young players, which is really good to see. Again, Ayo Dosunmu, Kobe White, and I think that's it. Oh yeah, they also have Patrick Williams. Excuse me. And Troy Brown Jr. But again, I think that this team is kind of in the mix of how good are they with uh how good are they with all the players active, and how good are they without them? Because even last year, at the beginning of the season when Kobe or not Kobe White, Zach Levine had that knee injury, it was really weird to see how he kind of just fell off. Not in a sense of, oh, he just didn't become a better player, but he just didn't look as active as he did in previous years, which is really upsetting to see. Again, Zach Levine is probably one of the best on ball scorers in the league. So it's really upsetting to see that he didn't really play the best after a couple of inactive games. So essentially, like the second half of the season, he didn't play nearly as well. 46% from the field, 36% from three, just not nearly as good as he used to be. While in the first couple of games, it was pretty much the opposite. He was like on fire. He was playing very similar to DeMar in terms of efficiency, and with this, they were really good. They were pretty much dogging on everyone. Again, like the first half of the season, he essentially averaged 50% from the field, 40% from three with seven threes. Again, really dominant scorer. And he averaged like 4.3 assists. But again, we've all seen the clips of them just having fun on the court with the lobs and stuff. I think that they could repeat that this year. However, I think that the biggest problem this year will be the defense. And even though that they weren't the worst defensive, they were actually one of the best defensive teams, even without a guy like Rudy Gobert. I think that the Rudy Gobert trade will hurt them the most, only because they really needed a really solid defender on the five. And it really sucks that they didn't really get anything from them, at least going forward. Again, like Matt Thomas isn't really the guy that you need. I think that they really just needed a Rudy Gobert, and I think that that's going to haunt them for this year, especially since they're a low rebounding team. They're low in assists, low in steals, low in blocks, or low in pretty much everything. And they're really high in turnovers. Yeah, it's going to be really bad. However, if I were to really rank this team going forward, I think that they're probably the sixth best team in the East. Assuming that not many teams take the jump that I think that they're going to, I think that if the Cavs make the jump, they're definitely going to be a better team than this team. If Toronto somehow manages to get KD, they're probably going to be a better team. But after that, I think that this team is just going to be a really solid team, and hopefully they make a couple of trade deadline moves, uh, and things like that. However, that's it for me. It's boy Nehemiah, aka Neo, and I hope you guys are having a great one.